talk a little bit here about this tripod trigger stick. Now here's the bipod trigger stick, and I wore the woods out with this baby in the wintertime last year, okay? And it does work. We're going to talk about this tripod one though. Okay, the bottom of it still has the same similar cinch device to hold the legs together, okay? Now this ain't the time of the year squirrel hunting to be using this stick, but it could be used, okay? And why is it the right time of the year? Well, I don't think it goes high enough to start with, okay? There's max height. So you see your shooting angle. So if you get up close to a tree or eating hickory or something, you're gonna have to shoot higher. The other thing is these legs. The woods here are so dry right now. I'm using a single pole stick right now to squirrel hunt with. Now I don't use it to take every shot in the woods when I shoot a squirrel. This thing's got 3 legs, so when you start trying to get 3 legs positioned in dry leaves, you might be making a lot of racket right now. These squirrels are wild. Okay, so this is a position that stays in. This is the default position. You got a little thing here I'm going to move here in a minute and show you. So you've got height adjustment here. Okay, now unlike the bipod trigger stick, you have to be mindful of your 3rd leg on this one, because if you get the 3rd leg back here inside of your body, see, you might get crunched up with it, meaning it's going to come back into your body. And the same would be if you're using this out of a side-by-side. You're going to have to use this thing in a side-by-side with the 3rd leg away from the vehicle. Now, I used that bipod stick the last 2 winters hunting out of a side-by-side, and it worked good. But now when you start getting out there about 100 yards, 80 plus yards, I'd have to rest my elbow on the steering wheel of my side-by-side to get that gun steady a lot of times. And I've not tried this stick in that side-by-side to see if that helps the situation. I still may have to put my elbow on the steering wheel, because this ain't going to give any back of the gun support, okay? Now, you pull your trigger and she comes up and she comes down, okay? Now here's one thing that I don't like about this stick. Now I don't even have the legs down here banded, okay? It seems to work pretty good there, but notice that one leg won't drop down. So if I was hunting in the woods with this thing, carrying it like that, and I seen a squirrel and it was sort of elevated, and I didn't have time to spread the legs, which I did with this stick over here a lot last year, I'd pull the button and it would come up. So it don't work as good in that department as that stick does, okay? And you're not going to get any added benefit much with this stick versus the bipod stick with the legs collapse like they are now on this tripod. Okay, so we're going to spread her back out here. Okay, and this thing did come with a camera mount on it, by the way, and I'll show this right fast. You unlock this thing here, and this thing right here comes out. Well, it's supposed to. It does come off, and they give you a screw-in part that goes on here for your camera, okay? It does work, I just ain't using it right. I don't have a lot of experience with this stick yet. Now, here's the thing about this stick here. It's got this little cup thing here you spin, okay? And what this will do is this will let your legs extend out further, okay? Now, I'm going to collapse the stick all the way down and then turn this and let the legs out. So that's what you've got right there, okay? You can see how high that is there. Sitting on the ground, that may work for you depending on the angle you're shooting, okay? But now if we let the legs out, I'm gonna let them all the way out to start with. We're gonna push these legs back out again. Now you notice this thing takes up a lot of real estate. Okay, now she's up a little higher. Okay, so what I'm saying is if you've got a stool and you want to sit with this thing, you could probably find the right shooting height. But just remember how much real estate this thing is encompassing here, okay? You may get against a fence line or something and you can't get this thing out like you want it. You might can, but you may have other obstructions on the ground too you're going to have to fumble around with. Okay, now it does default back once you pull that leg back out and show you. Okay, see, now I can get all the legs out now, and when I put all the legs back in, it defaults back. Okay, so now it's in the more like the standing position use, what I would call. I'll use it this winter some. I've got another device that I done talked about in a YouTube, but it's a lot heavier than this thing, and it ain't got no trigger stick feature, which that is handy there, okay? And I already know from using that stick there a lot last winter is when you subject these things to a lot of moisture, you're gonna have to take these things apart because the legs will get stiff on it, okay? There'll be some rust and dirt and grit you'll have to contend with. Now, I think the owner's manual, one of these recommends, you know, this is not a walking stick, and you sort of have to use it like one to transport it in the woods or walking, you know, but I wouldn't want to be dependent on this thing necessarily to get me off a steep grade. And if you make a mistake and hit that right there, traversing down a steep grade, you might be in for a little episode of rolling down a hill. Let's see if I can figure this. Oh, there it is. You gotta push this button here. Now they give you a camera adapter with this, so you can use it with your camera or your gun. Okay, and then it comes back up there and it locks, so now it can't come off inadvertently while you're in the woods with it. Not too heavy. I can see it's going to be a little more cumbersome as far as quick setup versus this one, but you'll probably get a steadier shot off of this. And hunting around food trees, walnut groves, where you're more of in a sitting position, like a stakeout position versus just stalking, this would probably be a better choice. Okay, I'm going to talk more about this as I use it some this winter and see if there's anything else I pick up on with it. I hope you enjoyed the video.